I'm sure a lot of you guys came for the title of the video, which is something to the effect of Kanye West starts a cult or some other thing like that. It's about Kanye West. I wanted to take a look at this article, basically written by the New York Times, and there are a couple of other articles I want to look at too, and those are by the Friendly Atheist, but we'll get there. Let's just take a look at this New York Times article and see what it has to say about Kanye West. When Kanye West's Jesus Walks, which is a song, by the way, was released in 2004, the song was praised for boldly bringing discussions of faith into hip-hop. 15 years later, Mr. West's contemporaries continue to speak of its impact. In the first episode of Hip Hop, The Songs That Shook America, an AMC docuseries that premiered Sunday, the singer-songwriter John Legend said, "Kanye made it okay to talk about your faith in songs that weren't Christian songs." By the way, before we continue, I just want to say this is on the New York Times website. It was written by Shamira Ibrahim. It is this persistent reverie and goodwill for Jesus Walks that Mr. West has banked on since starting Sunday service, a series of obliquely religious pop-up gatherings featuring a gospel choir, usually wearing attire from the rapper's clothing line Yeezy this year. The set lists fluctuate from week to week, but the linchpin of the productions, which segue from traditional songs of mercy and salvation to bolder reconfigurations of modern secular hits, is in that subversive single from his debut album, The College Dropout. The artist jubilantly recites the final verse of the song, flexing his cadence in lockstep with the choir. On an invitation-only basis, or in the case of Coachella last April, the price of a steep festival ticket, the select few present at these gatherings get to rub shoulders with the likes of ASAP Rocky, Chance the Rapper, Brad Pitt, and other high-profile entertainers, while partaking of the exclusive experience. The events serve as a transparent attempt of Mr. West to fundamentally regroup himself within the context of religion after an extended run of willfully courting salacious controversy, whether it be for an unsolicited dressing down of Taylor Swift, his wearing of a MAGA hat, or a contentious TMZ appearance where he claimed that slavery was a choice. So the guy's obviously very controversial. He's had some very controversial takes, very controversial situations, especially with the Taylor Swift thing. You guys remember that, where it was at some award show where he got up to the microphone, took it from Taylor Swift, and said, "I'm going to let you finish in a minute, but first I just want to say Beyonce had the best video of all time," or whatever the hell. It was ridiculous. Anyway, guy has some issues, obviously, but he's actually started a church, what he calls a church. And people have to pay a lot of money to get into this church. And what's her name? Kim Kardashian got on Jimmy Fallon, maybe? Anyway, she got on some late night talk show and talked about the church on there the other day, and it's really concerning. So that's kind of the premise of the whole situation. The fact that he started a church and that people are paying to go to it, and a lot of the things that are going on with it are really concerning. So with that being said, let's take a look at this Friendly Atheist blog article. The Friendly Atheist, you guys know Hemant Mehta. I talk about him a lot. He's got this blog article titled Kanye West to Joel Osteen. They are attempting to take prayer out of schools. So Joel Osteen is a famous, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's a famous televangelist, basically. He runs a mega church. Really, really bad dude, honestly. Truly bad guy. So let's just read the article and see what it says here. Rapper Kanye West spoke at Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Houston earlier today, and as expected, it was nothing more than a publicity stop for Kanye's new Christian-focused career shift. There were no serious questions. Nothing West said was challenged. Osteen just asked some leading questions and handed over the microphone. West just sold himself as the next messiah to an audience that will eat up anything that's said on stage as long as they hear Jesus every few words. But along the way, he suggested wanting forced prayer back in public school, said that God is now speaking through him, and showed why someone really needs to buy him a dictionary. Here are a few of the highlights. Kanye says God is now speaking through him, so audience members need to shut the hell up. This is a quote from Kanye. I go into these streams of consciousness when I'm talking, and when you're speaking in the middle of it, it distracts me. I really appreciate the support, but I would like for everybody to be completely silent so I can let God flow through me as I speak to you guys today. Kanye, unaware of what the word traffic means, says clubs are involved in trafficking because owners want to know how much traffic they had each day. Oh my God. A lot of you guys know Stephen Hassan. I talk about him all the time on my channel. He invented the Byte model. Anyways, he is not just involved in cults and cult research. He actually talks about human trafficking too, not just cults. They're actually very similar to each other, honestly. Like, he talks about like and mind control, the control that they exert over the people that they control, for lack of a better term, and things like that. It's extremely fascinating, and it's extremely heartbreaking at the same time. Clearly, Kanye doesn't understand that world at all in any way if he's saying the things that he's saying here. So let me continue. This is Kanye speaking again. When I'm in California or when I'm in Vegas, they got posters up advertising, trafficking. Because if there's an advertisement for a club, that is advertising trafficking. Because at the end of the night, when they close up, the manager says, "How much traffic do we have?" That's terribly, terribly stupid and uninformed. Kanye, in desperate need of a dictionary, thinks alcohol is of the devil because it's called a spirit. Oh my God, okay. This is Kanye again. We all end up participating in the devil's playground, whether it's the spirits that get advertised to us all the time. Alcohol is, they call it a spirit, so we get constant advertisement for spirits. Kanye says his cockiness will now serve Jesus. Oh, this guy. This is him again. This is Kanye speaking again. All of that arrogance and confidence and cockiness that y'all see me use before, God is now using for him. Kanye says God's finally taking back all the best artists, by which he means himself. This is Kanye again. It's like the devil stole all the good producers, the devil stole all the good musicians, all the good artists, all the good designers, all the good business people, and said, "You got to come over and work for me." And now the trend, the shift is going to change. Jesus has won the victory. Because now, I told you about my arrogance and cockiness already. Now, the greatest artist that God has ever created is now working for him. Wow! Okay, that does not seem very Christian. That's really funny, and also very sad. Kanye has never heard anyone criticize an athlete. Here's a quote from Kanye. Let me just point this out, okay? This bothers the shit out of me. I can't stand this when people do this. He says, there is a lot of times. There are a lot of times. Do you know the English language? Why are you referring to a plurality with is? It's are, not is. Kanye. God! So I'll read it how he said it. There is a lot of times when people don't want to comfort Christ. They try to point out the worst Christian they ever met. But when you play basketball, you don't point to the worst basketball player. You point to the best basketball player. Kanye wants forced prayer back in school. This is another Kanye quote. The more and more this entire country follows Christ and sets the example that we're a Christian country, they're attempting to take prayer out of schools. When you remove the fear and love of God, you create the fear and love of everything else. But let me break that down, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Reinstate the fear and love of God and eliminate the fear and love of everything else. They're not attempting to take prayer out of schools. Students are free to pray as much as they want. There is no limit to the amount of prayer that you can do. However, that being said, teachers and faculty and state employees are not allowed to force people to engage in a religious ceremony. Hemant Mehta wrote multiple articles about Kanye. So the first one that we were taking a look at was Kanye West to Joel Osteen. They are attempting to take prayer out of schools. This next one is called Christian Website Warns Kanye West Joel Osteen is a Fake Christian. Okay, fascinating. I don't think anybody can really be a fake Christian exactly. I'm sure that they're out there, but if somebody claims to be a Christian, then they're a Christian, pretty much, in my eyes. Heaven's Gate was a UFO cult, famously, but they were a Christian UFO cult. So much as Christians don't like to claim Heaven's Gate, they were Christian. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. So at any rate, Joel Osteen is a piece of garbage. So let's give it a read and see what it has to say. This one was also by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist blog. Rapper Kanye West is scheduled to appear at Pastor Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas tomorrow as part of what I can only assume is a giant publicity stunt that benefits both sides. Joel Osteen gets to be near a globally famous musician. Kanye West gets access to Osteen's TV platform, which reaches tens of millions of Americans. Yeah, so Osteen is a televangelist. You know who's really upset about that? The evangelicals at the Gospel Coalition, who are trying ever so hard to convince West that Osteen is one of the bad Christians. Okay, this is going to be an interesting read. Editor Joe Carter writes, before Kanye heads to Houston, though, there are a few things he should know about his friend. The most important is that Osteen, as Christian rapper Shai Linne famously noted, is a false teacher. Osteen is a mainstream example of a false teacher promoting the myth of prosperity gospel. Well, prosperity gospel is actually legitimately harmful, so I can definitely get on board with this Christian on that point. Osteen merely offers a way to speak about such New Age nonsense using Christianese, okay? What believers don't need is to be malnourished by feeding them what theologian Michael Horton calls Osteen's cotton candy gospel. Seekers like Kanye shouldn't be given croutons of positive thinking when they are looking for the bread of life. Interesting. So this is back to Hemant Mehta speaking. Watch out, Kanye. Osteen might screw you up by getting you to focus on money instead of Jesus. And then where would you be? Answer, in exactly the same place. Yeah, that's a fair point. This is all rich coming from an organization that many other Christians find embarrassing for completely different reasons. The Gospel Coalition, after all, once ran an article by a white woman who discussed needing to pray before accepting her daughter's engagement to a black man. They deny the existence of trans people. They think homosexuality is a sin and denounce gay Christians who think those two worlds can't be reconciled. The only good gay to them is an ex-gay. That's sad. And sometimes they just straight up call you. Yeah, I've heard that too, actually. Those are the people now telling Kanye West to beware Joel Osteen before he gets the wrong idea about Christianity. It's not about being happy and helping others and dreaming big. It's about hate and bigotry and all those other things Jesus supposedly preached about in whatever version of the Bible these people like best. Here's a thought. They're all bad Christians. We should avoid their preaching equally. If you're basing your life on any of their versions of success, you're just asking for disaster. That's very, very true. Actually, John Oliver talked about the prosperity gospel a while back and how it's super easy to get tax-exempt status, first of all. People talk about how it's possible maybe Kanye is doing this whole church thing so that he can get tax-exempt status. Maybe that's just a side effect. Maybe that's just an extra benefit to the whole gospel-singing, Jesus-loving, church-creating BS that he's doing at this immediate moment. But yeah, he is tax-exempt. And again, John Oliver did another video about prosperity gospel where they send you letters and chain mail and shit, and they try to get you to send them money, and they say, put it on your credit card, run up your bill, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. Send us all your money, thousands of dollars, anything you've got, because God will pay it back to you tenfold or whatever nonsense. And so people are sending in their life savings to these charlatans and never seeing a dime from it, honestly. It's extremely disheartening. So Kanye is promoting these people and using their platforms to reach others, and it's just really sad. It's really, really sad. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I'm trying to make a shirt design for every cult I've covered. I haven't gotten every one, but I'm working on it. So check it out and see if your cult is up there. Second, you can support me by checking out my game shop. I sell controller, cartridge, and game box stands for every system from the original Nintendo and Sega Game Gear to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. so give that a look too. And finally, if you want to support me in some way other than monetarily, you can check out my other YouTube channels. I have a retro game channel where I answer questions like, why does Shy Guy have a mask? And why are CRT TVs the best way to play retro games? I also have the podcast where I talk about stuff I don't feel I can say on a monetized channel. And finally, I have my main channel where I talk about cults. I wish I didn't have to worry about dancing around subjects carefully in the first place, but I chose to do this as a full-time job, so unfortunately, I rely on YouTube's AdSense and on the support of patrons to continue doing the work I do. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.